We've got a long night tonight, so we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I will call the roll. Ms. McHugh?
Here.
Mr. Cresswell? Mr. Dillon?
Here.
Ms. Marchioni?
Here.
Ms. Bobian?
Here.
Ms. Quinn?
Here.
Mr. Rhodes?
Present.
Ms. Cohen is not with us, but I do see Ms. O'Donnell.
Here.
Mr. Hubner?
Here.
And Verville is indeed here. There's an updated agenda in front of everybody. I added the material from last week that we have to bring forward, and I added the page numbers on just to facilitate rapid movement, hopefully through the process. Public comments. Any members of the public wishing to provide commentary to the Budget Committee? Bill, no? We miss you, you know.
Good evening.
Good evening. It's good to see you, Mr. Villadar. We miss you. We miss you on this committee. I heard you're going to run again this in March, though. Is there any truth to that rumor?
I haven't completed my consideration for that.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Mr. Bilodeau always holds his cards quite close to the chest, and I can't say as I blame him. I would look for a motion for the meeting minutes of July 22nd, 2025.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes for July 22nd, 2025,
As revised, correct?
as revised.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on that motion?
I mean, I haven't seen them, but they're not online. They're not on the on the website.
They were received by email, no?
No, I saw them on the town's website.
I don't know if that's the revised version, is the only thing I
I
can't.
believe it is. Much longer than the first one. So like two full pages.
Might I inquire who made the second?
I did.
Would you mind removing the second?
Nope.
Perhaps we can carry it forward.
Yep. Till we can all
Mr.
see,
Hubner,
that's fine with
Mr.
me.
Hubner, would you remove the motion?
I withdraw the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Hubner. So we will revisit that next time. How about the meeting minutes of the 21st? Go ahead.
Can we make sure that everybody gets a copy of those before the next meeting? So this is the third time it's been tabled.
Well, table's not the word. We just haven't picked it up.
Whatever it is, yeah.
So if you don't have a copy, send me an email and I'll make sure you get a copy. Fair enough. Anybody want to make a motion on last Tuesday's meeting, 21 October 2025?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of October 21, 2025 as submitted.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on last week's minutes?
Same. I don't see them
And they are
posted.
not on the website.
And we didn't get draft minutes. We didn't get an email for these, so they're definitely not on.
I might be confusing the 14th.
14th, right. We are
I
waiting
withdraw
on
my
an
second.
amendment. We're
Thank you, Ms.
awaiting
Quinn.
amendment on the 14th.
I withdraw my motion.
Just moving backwards
We're
here.
really,
No, that's fine. That's fine.
I almost
We will.
Messaged you earlier today asking if there were
It wouldn't have made a difference. I was burning the candle from both ends and in the middle today at work, so I wouldn't have got to it anyway. I'm a rogue and a delinquent. That brings us up to town clerk on page 8. As a reminder, we're going by bottom right page numbers in our packets. And so I would look for a motion, perhaps from the select board representative, to move that bottom line for us.
Well, do you want that motion now, or do you want to go into discussion of each item?
So we move it, we second it, then we discuss it.
Okay. All right, then the Board of Selectmen will motion to approve the town clerk budget in the amount of $155,049 even.
Second.
And that's not the select board, that's the select board representative. We have a motion and a second.
Maureen.
Motion and a second, so it is up for discussion. Mr. Hubner, you made the motion, you have the floor.
All right. We have the town clerk here with us. to talk about each of these lines. Kelly, would you like me to just let you go through it line by line? Is that the best way?
Sure, yeah. So I
Sorry,
did
just a formality. Can you just introduce yourself? Ms.
Kelly Roberts, Town Clerk Tax Collector.
Thank you.
I did my best to keep this budget as level as possible. I have a few comments I can make throughout these line items, and if you have questions, feel free to chime in.
Let me chime in by saying that Kelly does a very good job on her budget. She really does try to keep it level, and she considers each line and does a good job. So I think I'll just preface her remarks with, this is one of the best reviewed budgets, I believe, in the packet.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So if we go to full-time, I left the full-time line at 161 as the elected clerk. I only receive a raise through the legislative body, either through an approved budget or through a warrant article. We haven't had an approved budget in a long time, so back in '22, I did a warrant article supported by the Board of Selectmen, and it passed with flying colors. So I'm comfortable where I'm at. We can revisit that in a couple of years. The part-time line, you will note that the part-time line is down 2,175, while still being able to offer my 2 part-time employees a 5% merit raise if merited. There was no clear instruction from the board as to how to handle raises when I inquired, so I brought this into my budget so that that would be covered should the budget be passed. Overtime, I kept to $1 to keep the line open. We accrue comp time in the clerk's office. Mileage, this line is for the daily bank runs. I have that at 2,400. And this is to the TD Bank and to any trainings that we go to. 301 is auditing services at 11,137. I split that down the middle with town administration. Telephone line, I put that to $1. I decided to keep that line open if in the event I ever change my mind on that. Software, I have at $1 to keep open. Registry recordings. Registry recordings, I have brought down to 500. The 24 actual was 362.55. To date, we've spent 142. I still have some things I have to file, so that'll go up a little bit, but I think 500 is a fair number. Record retention, 500. I don't know if, yeah, I spent that this year. We're gonna keep that at 500 for 26. Tax research, tax search. That's the service we hire out to research our liens and deed mortgage searches. And
So you're setting that to historical spend.
yes, I think we changed that to $800. From 550, that's been the biggest line in my budget that has given me flexibility. But if we're recalibrating our lines, this is the line that I'm pulling from the most, if you're curious. So I think $800 would be more than enough to cover our searches for 26. Maintenance and vendors is a big line. I've confirmed the cost with Pete in finance. Muni Smart cash receipting, which is the only function I use in Muni Smart, will be 1,500. The Sharp copier, 1,212, and Avatar will be 3,882, and Interware 4,409, bringing us to $11,003. Then I think that's going to be right pretty close. Dues and subscriptions, membership is crucial for my department as that's where we get our resources, legislative updates, training, networking with peers, and supplies, I have at 3,300. I kept it that, but I am a spender of office supplies. I like my office supplies. We use a lot of office supplies in the clerk's office. I did inquire with the Board of Selectmen if we could set up a wish list for the website or Facebook. I've already had people offering to donate stuff like paper clips and paper and stuff, items like that. But I don't, maybe after this budget season, we can look at what the correct way is to accept donations for small items like that. That would help me and keep me under budget. The dogs are $650. That's for the actual metal tags that goes on their necks along with the license report books. That does not include the postage. Postage is up $8,000. Monthly mailers cost us $2,600. The dog reminder $750. Tax bills $3,500. Lien and deed $500. Reminder $100. And our state work that we have to send our motor vehicle work to the state, $550. Books and periodicals, $1 to keep it open. That line was historically for the red books, which was what clerks used to use to pull the vehicle data descriptions from. Now all that is incorporated in our software. And you can Google it most of the time too, so the information is out there. Meetings and seminars, I have up to 1,800. This includes our seminars, conferences, our spring workshops in between January and May every year is when clerks and collectors gather regionally and get updated on all the laws and best practices.
Kelly, I think you skipped over the equipment line.
Oh, equipment line, sorry. We have two Lexmark 640 printer, high volume printers at the counter in the clerk's office. That's where we print all of our motor vehicles from, all of our tax bill receipts, dog licenses. They are high volume workhorse printers that were a grant from the state back in like 2008 or 9 or something. That printer is no longer being, I guess the word is made. $1,500, I can either buy a new printer that we can work and map to the state motor vehicle how they want it configured, or it could go to a refurbished Lexmark T640. We could either see if we could get two refurbished T640s, or we could get one newer high volume this year and then another high volume next year and just keep these ones working as, we're gonna keep them working as long as we can. So that's what I have for clerk.
And you have all the detailed sheets in your book, behind these, if you want to see the details of what you described.
Mr. Cresswell.
Mr. Roberts, I noticed a couple things on the detail breakdown versus the breakdown that we have that's on this sheet. Your equipment line that you were just describing on this sheet is zeroed out. And I'm just wondering if that was an oversight.
What is this sheet?
This one.
Second, on the back of,
Yeah. So page
I see 1,000 there in pencil or in writing.
Well,
It should be,
was, but it was crossed out.
it should be 1,500.
That was crossed out, and then there was another number written next to it, which was also crossed out.
That
So
was-
I'm confused.
That was the
back and forth, and then on the other side is the approved budget, which was the 1,500.
Okay,
Because originally,
believe-
I think they increased it to 3,000 to buy 2 printers, and then they decided, no, one is fine, and so then they went back to the 1,500.
all right, thank you. And I have a second question. So the dog licenses and the stuff to print those and make those, does the money that comes in from paying for dog licenses offset those items?
No, not, well, so dog licenses is a lot of work for very little revenue. So, I mean, we have a database that we maintain. But the law is we have to do this, and that's what it costs for the tags and everything. But the time to issue the license and maintain the database and all the postage, that for a while, the post office was making us, because of when we put it in an envelope, they were making us go to I think it was 103 or 110 or 111 instead of the 78-cent rate. So dogs can get expensive if it's done through the mail. But so we have about 1,300 dogs in town. We have the last we checked, we had about 40 outstanding delinquent dogs. And so if you multiply, hold on, let me just do something.
I just wasn't sure if you knew roughly how much the income was
I'm doing it.
in that various license.
So if we did we're at 750 now.
Seniors are less.
So
Seniors are less.
seniors are like $3.
Senior dog or senior owner?
Intact dogs are higher, so
An
the
intact.
balance is gonna still be around 7.
So just for the sake of quick math, 750 times 1,300 equals about 9,700, about almost $10,000 in revenue with a $650 cost. I mean, that sounds like a lot, but that's actually pretty good for a.
Does the money collected go back to support these lines specifically?
No,
or is
it goes
general fund?
so every year we have to submit, it goes into the general fund, and then there's state fees that are designated that go into the animal population control program that assists low-income families and pets that need vaccinations and spay neuter. So it's a really great program, and it's a really good program, and towns that are really good at staying on top of their dogs, not only is that good for public health, but it also helps people in need. So it's a way of helping other people, if we look at it that way.
So the 9,700 that we collect, although that's a little bit conservative because some of them are seniors, but roughly, let's say, and then we have, I think, Kelly, $650 roughly to produce the tags these days.
Yep.
Well, there's also some cost with.
Then there's the postage.
The postage and then the vendors, the maintenance and vendors.
Postage would be, at $1 a piece, would be $1,300. Of course, some people probably get them on the spot or get them without postage, but roughly $1,300. So you start to look at about $2,000. What other costs? There's paperwork, of course, and time of our clerks.
Yeah.
So I guess my big question is does the income offset the cost
does.
of doing this?
It does, but it's a very, as far as revenue sources, it's just a small source, but
Still,
it
we're
covers.
making enough to cover these 3 lines that are going into, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Further, yes,
Mr.
Ms. Mastriani, please.
So on the dog license, there are no expenses in 24 and 25
There will be.
year to date.
Oh, in 24, there was, I guess it just got misaligned somewhere or put in the wrong bucket, but we definitely got them. And then 25, we are put our order in, we have not received that bill yet.
Okay. And then I just had one other question on postage. Are there any options to go paperless for any of the, or are you required by law to mail
No,
your documents?
so that is something we have been working on for a couple of years, is building up our database as far as grabbing people's email addresses. I am a little bit, so basically what the goal is we need to get to a point where I feel comfortable that we've captured enough email addresses in motor vehicles that I can send out, like when the monthly notice comes out, that I can send an email, and people will eventually have the ability to opt into email only or paper only. That's a little bit of a scary transition because people love their paper, but it's getting so expensive to mail that I think we were talking in our office this past month that starting January 1st, when it would start with the monthly mailings, that's when we would try it out and see, okay, in January, we sent out the email, how many people actually prefer to do it online? It's gonna take a while to build up and get traction, but I think it will eventually the paper will fade away.
Thank you.
Kelly, aren't there
Mr. Rhodes, sorry, Mr. Rhodes, please.
So a couple of questions, but what you were just saying, actually, do you take ACH payments, just out of curiosity?
Do I?
Do you take ACH payments?
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
We take ACH, which is the cheapest electronic option. Credit cards, credit and debit are 2.99%.
right. But you have to initiate the ACH. Somebody can't send you an ACH.
No, the ACH option is only available for online transactions for motor vehicles and dogs and vital records. I think those are the three. But you can't like come to the counter and do an ACH. It's only for at home.
Yeah. Okay, the questions, the auditing services, that's an actual contract, right? The 137?
Yes,
So that's baked in, that's not going to change.
that is what it is. Unless, they got to be careful. I mean, I think it's always good to ask for a discount. But I guess if you request new auditors, they go through the whole prior year,
Yeah,
so.
it's not worth it.
But it's probably my biggest expense. Is it? It is my biggest expense.
After people, yeah.
But it's important and it's worth every penny.
Yes. So on software upgrades, you said you used MuniSmart, right? Is that the software you're talking about?
I only use a very small portion of MuniSmart, which is just cash receipting. Finance department uses MuniSmart.
Okay, so, but you don't see any, I mean, everybody's prices are going up, so you don't see any increase in that?
So the problem with municipal software that I see in general is they all sell out eventually. And what happens is you have a great software and a great product and great customer service, and when you call, you have support and experts that know the system inside and out. And then what happens over time is they sell their business to like a business that buys businesses. And so you have kind of like generic support, because there's not only are they servicing MuniSmart, they're servicing 5 other softwares. So whenever you
mean that Bayer does cost cutting?
yeah. So
Yeah, exactly.
So the thing with municipal software is you want to know what's fresh, who's actually studying it and who's actually improving it, instead of a company that's just buying it up. MuniSmart is a canned software. It's got a short shelf life, but communities still use it, so until they phase that out into something else.
So, so you're confident that you're not going to see a rise in that?
Well, I don't have any power over that because that's really finances.
Gotcha. So so the maintenance vendor lines, the Avatar, did they just give us an increase?
No, they make an estimate when they do their business, their plan every year of what
Right.
things are gonna cost, and they send out information to their communities for budget time. I might even have it.
And they stick to that historically, once they do that?
Yeah, so this one was via voicemail. I received your voicemail. The support billing for current year is 3697. I don't have the 26 numbers at this time. I'm told that you should estimate 3 to 5% increase. So I did a 5% increase.
Anyone else? Ms. Marchioni?
Kelly, could you please just speak to the employees' salaries last year versus this year? You indicated that you were able to include a 5% potential merit raise for your part-time employees.
Yeah.
At ending up at the same payroll costs as last year. Can you just kind of walk us through that a little bit with including the hours that the town clerk is open this year versus last year? Were the hours reduced? How you achieved that, please?
Okay, so there is a 9-page memo and probably hours of selectmen meetings regarding the hours change, but I can get that for you. The quick version of this is I had a full-time deputy who left, and I took that full-time deputy and I split that into 2 part-time positions, 2 20-hour-a-week positions. And one is a deputy and one is a counter clerk, assistant clerk. The reason for the 2 positions is when you only have 2 people that work in an office, you're so close to a single point of failure if something happened to one or the other, that you need a 3rd person that's trained and part of the team. So that's why I thought it was smart to go to 3. The merit raise, and this is how I understand it, and I can be corrected, but from what I've understood over the years is that COLA has kind of turned into a thing in Deerfield. Like COLA is a cost of living adjustment, and it's usually voted on by a warrant article, which is usually received pretty well by the voters. A merit raise is what a department head has when they are leading, instructing, and incentivizing their team and doing yearly reviews. It gives them a little bit of a carrot to keep their team going, motivated, and I put that in, and I always put in the merit raise because you have to defend your people, and you can't give a raise if it's not in your budget, right? Right?
That would stand to reason, yes.
So that's why I always put it in my budget. So I know that when I go before the Board of Selectmen, that I am defending money that's in my budget. And I think it would be really, one of the things that back in 2007, 2008, when I first got on board, raises were not everyone got them. There were merit raises, and the department head went before the board, defended their case and their reasons, and sometimes people got it, sometimes people didn't. On real lean years, I remember the board instructing town administrator to let the department heads know that no raises this year, we're in tough times. So we had more communication on what they were expecting from us. It was kind of awkward preparing this budget without the direction of of where the town is going. So my hope is, and I will volunteer for this committee, is that the town finally gets on board with some sort of payment scale that's fair for all employees, and every employee is on the same footing. So as far as that goes. But until then, I'm putting it in my budget.
Okay, so that's, that's 2282, right?
Oh, and the reason why that's less is because I had a per diem, basically, if this budget were to pass, my per diem line would essentially go away. So right now, I have about $3,000 where if, like, I have someone coming in tomorrow to help us with stuff, the tax bills, that's my per diem line. If this goes through, that's gonna go away, and that's how that paid for the raise. So I had to compromise for that.
I will tell you that there was some debate in the selectmen meetings about the inclusion of the 5% raise here versus other departments that don't include merit raises for their employees. And it was largely, the discussion was around the consistency among different department heads of how they handle this. And there's also recognition that there's very likely to be a COLA again this year. And so this 5% would be in addition to the COLA that would be coming as well. So those kind of things were talked about in the selectmen meeting, and we ended up approving Kelly having this 5% in here.
If I might, so she can propose a merit increase, but she can't grant it, right? It requires approval from the select board for that to take effect, is that correct?
To change a salary, yeah. Even though it might be baked into the budget in terms of money available, but to do a merit raise, we would need to approve it.
Thank you.
She would make a proposal to us to approve.
Mr. Cresswell, please.
Thank you. Kelly, you did a great job, thank you. We had a big discussion last week about merit-based raises, and the concern, especially with how they're awarded and why they're awarded. Does your department have a standard in which to judge what qualifies as merit, which would approve someone to get that raise?
So what we currently do as a town, and I think some people put more time in it than others because we've been on default for so long. I think some people feel it's like a hopeless cause, but basically every year, I think usually in the July timeframe, we do reviews, an annual review, and there's a town form for the review that we use, and we go through it with the employee, and we discuss, where they're at and where they're going, and but the 5%, the way I see it, and this is where you have to give your department heads some discretion and trust that if it's 5%, that doesn't mean the person's going to get 5%. But depending on the department, and like in our department, we have different types of projects. Some projects are very intense, and if we finish them, I mean, that's really cool. And it's hard to sometimes finish big projects in that office because we're interrupted a lot. So if there's like a big benchmark project, that someone is really taken up and ensured that it's been done good and right, then that might be worth consideration. But if it's just like
Do you have a way of measuring that?
a matrix, no, I don't. But I want one because I am uncomfortable not knowing, and I am uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable not having a policy in place and feeling like I'm making the wrong decision, or I'm doing something wrong, or I'm not doing something in a professional way, but I don't know how. We're kind of in limbo at the moment.
I have a small question for you.
So we're not,
Has he spoken with you about it?
no, but we'll.
So Kelly,
we'll take
just
it up
to-
when we get there. Ms.
sorry.
Marciani, please.
Just to follow up, so the 5% is $2,282 out of your $155,000 budget, correct?
Yeah.
Well, isn't the 5% based on the salary, not on the total budget?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's $2,282. It's on her breakdown sheet. And you said something about like if you do a big project, that to me speaks more to a bonus type situation than a raise. Do you ever?
We don't,
you
yeah, I try to do fun things. I think bonuses would be awesome, but in municipal government, it's not, we're not,
You don't do, okay, sorry.
but what I do,
My
like,
private sector coming through, sorry.
sometimes like I'll bring in like a basket with like silly gifts in it.
Okay.
And if they do something really good, they can pick out of the thing. But that's usually like joke things.
And so if there were say there's a 3% COLA that goes through on a warrant article, you have the potential then to give, they would get the 3% and you would want the potential to give another 5% on top of the 3%. So potentially an 8% raise to your
Potentially.
employees.
Potentially. There is that potential, but that doesn't necessarily mean at the time that's what it would be. It might be more like a 3% raise.
Yeah, so I'll piggyback on that, right? So, but that's where it gets a little bit difficult because in the current environment, a 6% annual raise is pretty significant. And I think that's why some of the members may have paused.
I think if we had a pay scale and this was out of, I think until this is going to be a conversation until we have established a policy and a pay scale and we follow it. This feels weird to me. This feels weird to me too, but I have to look out for my department and I have to think about that in the event, you can't give a raise if it wasn't budgeted.
Oh, understood. Mr. Rhodes?
Mr. Chairman, yeah, no, so, yeah, this is the benefit of having a plan, obviously, and when you look at it in context of how much are insurance rates going up, like 15%?
That was the estimate.
That was the estimate. So a 6% raise in the face of a 15% increase in insurance costs means you're less in the hole than you were before. So in this particular year, I'm not, I think this is a terrific way for a department head to show leadership. And it'd be great if the whole municipal side, took that on, but that's not our job.
Well, it's
So.
potentially
wait a minute,
8%,
hold
not
on.
6.
So if I may, though, so I'm assuming we're referring to the employee copay, to the insurance, potentially going up 15%. I would look to the town administrator. Is that?
Premium.
Yeah, so, well, the premium, but for the employee, the part of that is the
their
copay
share.
out of their salary, what they're paying for insurance. And that goes up 15%, but that is not the lion's share of their salary. So I agree, that goes up 15%. That's an out-of-pocket cost for employees. But that, I find it hard to believe that what the employees are contributing for their health care comes anywhere close to 15% of that would be anywhere close to 3%. So I'm not sure that there's a hole of that size being created. Mr. Cresswell.
Do we offer healthcare to part-time employees?
No.
So that's a moot point for this one. Yeah.
So if we've been in defaults, how long have we been in default?
Forever.
Okay, so all the raises, since our first default, and every raise that has been issued since that first default, can we identify where that money's coming from? Can we identify, like, if I'm giving a raise in year one at default, do I, department head, say, okay, I'm gonna spend $500 less in my supply line because I gotta give my employees a raise? Like, is the Board of Selectmen,
So I understand the question.
is,
So I understand the question. So the question is about, it's about accounting, right? This was identified in several places last night where the accounting, not last night, last week, the accounting is not clean. So we are being told that we're billing against line items, but yet the spend shows as zero. And then we're told, well, it's actually somewhere else because it was misappropriated, et cetera. At the end of the day, it's a bottom line budget. So that is the big number at the end of the packet.
but
By
has,
way, hold on, by way of example, right? You were budgeted for 2025, call it $149,000 for your department. You're currently at 105, right? So the remaining 45, let's say you don't spend another penny for the rest of the year, the remaining $45,000 that's left over is either funding something in some other budget, or it's being returned to the taxpayer as an unassigned fund balance. But the people that should know that is the finance department and the select board. We don't have that, we don't currently have that granularity in this committee. So it's an excellent question. It's one I would strongly encourage you to pursue. But the appropriate places to pursue that question is with the finance department and the select board, respectfully.
I will submit an email.
Thank you. Is there any more discussion on the town clerk budget?
But okay, so hold on. If I do
Miss Roberts?
if I do a pay raise for someone and I have done the work and I put it in my budget and I prepared for it and I put it in my budget, and then some other department that doesn't put it in their budget and then they're asking for pay raises, do they have an obligation to say where that money's coming from? Because I want to know if money's
So again,
being,
Ms. Roberts, I understand the question, and I appreciate your spin on this. I don't mean spin in a bad way. Unfortunately, this committee is not the place to get those answers. Those answers would have to come from finance and the select board, and so I would redirect you to them. I would love to have the conversation, but it's not in the purview of the committee. And we really have to move
Okay.
along. So I appreciate it, and I look forward to that conversation continuing in town. Is there more discussion on the town clerk budget?
The only thing I'm wondering is, as we go through the budgets, are we looking for any kind of consistency in departments that are including money?
So I'm going to answer as a broader question. So we are taking budgets one at a time. If a member wants to make a motion and gets a second, they get to speak to the motion to be able to alter any of these budgets. Once we vote on it and close it out, unless there's a compelling reason to reconsider, you should probably consider it finished. So if you're looking to make a motion on the town clerk's budget, I'm about to call the vote, so now would be the most appropriate time
Okay,
to do that.
I would like to make a motion to reduce the 5% merit raise increase included in the town clerk's budget to 2%.
So,
The understanding that if a warrant article comes through for a 3% COLA, the max that would be there overall in this budget would be 5%.
so I love it. So I'm assuming you're referring to line 111, the last three digits, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
I need a dollar amount by which you would like to reduce that line.
1 second.
And just for the information of this committee, this is the only budget I'm aware of, Karen, correct me if I'm wrong, where we do have a merit increase in the budget. The other departments, none of the other departments have.
one that we
He's
discussed.
removed it. That's
last week,
personnel administration.
personnel administration, and then I believe there was others in other lines.
So I didn't
Corey?
understand.
So, just hold on a second. So, Ms. Marciano, do you,
That would put that line at $46,499.86, reducing it by 3%.
so if you would be so kind as to indulge me, to tell me by what dollar amount you want to reduce that line?
Sure.
And if you could make that work out to a round dollar amount, that would be greatly appreciated. As much as I appreciate the 11-cent difference between 89 and a dollar,
Okay, yes. I would like to reduce that line by $1,438.
okay, so the motion on the floor is to reduce town clerk line 111 by $1,438. Can somebody tell me what that would bring that line to? Does somebody have a calculator?
46, 530, 46, 5.
46,500.
46,500.
Okay, so it'd bring the line to 46,500. So that's the motion. Is there a second for the motion?
I'll second, just for the sake of discussion.
All right, seconded for the purpose of discussion. Ms. Marciano, you may speak to your motion.
So my only, the reason I think for doing that is, I appreciate very much, Kelly, your presentation, your budget, and in particular, you're looking out for your staff. I think as we look to the entire budget, the 15% health insurance increases that are coming this way, to look at a potential raise of 8% in 1 year is just too much. So I understand what you're doing and why you're doing it, and I feel the pain of you're not having some kind of pay scale, and I hope that that comes into fruition. But in the meantime, if you have, now you would have a 2% potential merit raise in your budget. If the COLA goes through at 3, you have the potential of, of 5% there overall. So I feel like that's workable and fair in the climate that we're in.
I agree.
Is there further discussion on the motion? Mr. Cresswell?
And I think I spoke about this last week for quite a bit, and I don't want to belabor that any more than I need to, but my apprehension for offering merit-based raises without having a standard on which they're awarded is very slippery. And I know that Tom had brought up some other points last meeting based on this particular notion and idea and thought, and I think it's admirable to want to give employees that extra, but if we don't have a fair system of how it's being awarded, who's being awarded what based on the parameters that are set forth in a policy, and I appreciate what Kelly's testimony was on this and how she is uncomfortable with awarding this because she doesn't have a policy to go by. I don't disagree, and I think Kelly did a wonderful job in presenting her budget and supporting the lines that she has requested. I just find that a merit-based system without having guidelines on how to award the merit is not a great idea.
Could the MBC,
I'm sorry. It's motion and discussion, so you gotta hold on. Is there further discussion on the motion? So I will, I'm sorry, did I cut somebody off?
Nope.
No, okay. So I will echo the sentiments of the previous two speakers. I agree with them 100% on that. Once again, I will refer us back to the back page, and before the modifications made last week, this budget is almost a 16% year-on-year increase based on my experience following this since 2009. That type of increase has next to a snowball's chance in Hades of surviving, and therefore, any reasonable reduction in this budget gets us closer to getting a proposed budget passed, which is what I keep hearing everybody wants to do. And for that reason, I intend to support the motion. Is there further discussion on the motion? Mr. Rhodes?
I would simply add that, we can cut out as much as we want to, and pretty soon it'll all be gone. This is not a cutting price crisis, this is a planning crisis. I would strongly encourage the town to think about how to get its act in order to make this not an issue going forward for employees, for department heads. Nothing we can do about it, it's not our policy, but the town does lack in planning, and this is
There
an
is
example.
something we
So,
can,
I'm sorry. We're at the
Sorry.
committee level at this point.
So that's,
Further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I got a sneaking suspicion it'll be a split decision, so a show of hands just so I can get an accurate count, please. Those in favor of reducing line 111 by $1,438, raise your hand, please. So I can get a count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those opposed? 5, 5, 0. So it's a tie motion. So the motion fails, and that returns us back to the original bottom line of the town clerk budget. Is there further discussion on the town clerk budget? Ms. McHugh?
I just wonder why we're not, do we feel that there's going to be maybe more of a spend than the 3524 in supplies for this year? I'm concerned we're not increasing your supply line when you had,
yeah, I know.
especially in light of
Yeah,
other
I
things.
know.
If we could increase that a little, especially.
I'm a bit of a office supply shopaholic, so I need to be better at that. But the question I had for the Board of Selectmen is why we just have to work out a policy. We have to figure out how we can do it to get people that can donate. Like, we just have to have a policy. I apologize for interrupting earlier. I guess I was just confused at where the discussion of these part-time positions, in the past, I'd historically put merit raises in my prepared budgets. This is the first year that it has stopped on this one and caused such a conversation.
So I can answer that, right? So every year we have town elections, so every year, every committee, every board is reformed. There's new membership, it's a new year, a fresh look. So past activities of budget committees really doesn't impact the current committee or future committees.
Okay.
Is there further discussion on the town clerk budget? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to call for a vote. Again, I'm going to ask for a show of hands. All those in favor of the town clerk, bottom line, at $155,049, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those opposed, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're in a bit of a pickle because that is a tie, which means the motion does not pass. So based on that, I would look for a motion to table the town clerk budget until our next meeting when there'll presumably be an odd number of members and it can be reconsidered then.
so moved.
Motion to table, second,
Second.
non-debatable. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? So that is tabled on a 10-0-0 vote, and we will take it up again under old business at our next regularly scheduled meeting. Thank you for coming in. We appreciate your participation, Ms. Roberts. It's always a pleasure to hear from you. At this point, we will move to supervisors of the checklist, which is found on page 13, and I would look for a motion from perhaps the select board representative.
All right, I will start this discussion with a motion to approve the bottom line budget for the supervisors of the checklist in the amount of $3,715.
So you don't want to consider that.
Hold on. I haven't had a chance to look at it. I'm doing this. There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Mr. Huber, you made the motion, so the floor is yours.
So again, we have Joanna Waring here with us, supervisor of the checklist, and she will walk us through that budget, please.
I'm Joanna Waring, yep, supervisors of the checklist. Okay, so our budget for the supervisors, we vary every year, and it's based on how many elections we have. The more elections, the busier we are as far as number of meetings, elections, et cetera. So 2026 is a little bit busier than we had in 2025. We're going to have 2 deliberative sessions, town election, general primary, general election, plus the meetings that lead up to it, plus what we call our batching sessions afterwards, where we process the checklists. And we have to, takes us several hours to log everything into the state computer. So in this top section, I'm assuming you got my breakdown. I follow the same formula. The deliberative sessions, I put us down for 6 hours. It could be anywhere from 3 to 9 hours, depending on how many warrant articles and how long the discussions are. The town election, we work 14 hours. That's pretty much set. We do that every time. The general primary and the general election are also 14 hours at a time. And then I have some batching hours in there for us to log everything in the computer. Everything is done times 3, because there's 3 of us, times our stipend, which is $10 an hour. We generally only bill for when we're actually in meetings and at elections. There's many times we go in there to do, prior to meetings, getting set up for the elections, that's actually never billed for. So what you see here is what we actually bill for. Monthly meetings, I put us down for 1 every month. Some elections require 2 meetings leading up to it, et cetera, so I average it out and I do 12. One thing that's going to be different next year is, in the past, under the statute, we had to do what was called a voter verification, and was normally done once every 10 years. Last time we did it was 2021. Now the state is going to require that to be done every year. Now, the good news, by doing it every year, it's not as much work, because you're not going back several years to clean up a checklist, but it does add required meetings and required postage. We have to mail out more letters and more filing. So that's been added on there, that I added 5 hours, because we have to have 2 meetings, 1 meeting to approve sending out letters, and then another meeting when we start removing people from the checklist. So this top section is our required time that we put in, that we actually bill for. Like I said, we do put in a few more hours than that we don't actually bill for.
And you have all that detail on page 16 in your book.
Yeah. So that's the biggest chunk of our budget, is our stipend for our services. The rest of it, on my sheet, I have what was the default versus what we do, so you can see the difference. The mileage, we dropped it down to $50. We use the mileage when we go to the Secretary of State. They usually have every year, depending on how busy, how complex our elections are, they'll have some in-person meetings. So the mileage is for when we drive either to Concord or Rochester, wherever they hold the meetings. Legal notices are going up, because the voter verification actually requires a notice in the newspaper. We can't just get away with a notice, on the website and on the billboard, on the bulletin boards. So I put 200. I can't remember what it costs to run an ad for 2 days. I think it's just slightly under 200. So that is new. That's going to be required every year. Software upgrades is just $1 to hold the line. Maintenance is just $1 to hold the line. Supplies, I have it down as 100. We do need to buy new file folders and hanging folders and some supplies every year. Postage is going up, because the voter verification does require that we mail out what we call our 30-day letters. They have to be mailed. And equipment was dropped from $400 to $1. Training workshops, the default has 300. We dropped it to a $1. All our training is pretty much done for free at the Secretary of State. They do the training for us. So we don't spend money on training or workshops, or at least we haven't in the last few years. And then the last one is just keeping the line open for the grant. So compared to the default budget, we are up. The default budget was, I believe, 2017, which is what we would call one of our quiet years, where there was only 1 election. So that's why it's so much lower. And that's what I have.
I would be remiss if I didn't also say that Joanna does an excellent job of looking at the budget and the historical spend and what she really needs to spend on the different elections and meetings that we hold in town. And so I believe this is an excellent budget.
Discussion on supervisor of the checklist budget. I'm sorry?
Second.
Well, I'm not going to accept that as a motion. Is there any discussion on the budget? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor of a bottom line of $3,715, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?
Abstention.
I'm sorry?
Abstention.
Abstention. Okay, I'm sorry. So it's 9-0-1. Ms. Waring, thank you for coming in. Pleasure as always. Look
Thank
forward
you.
to seeing you again soon.
Thank you.
Town meeting elections, page 17.
So, Mr. Chairman, I move that the town meeting election budget in the amount of $14,012.
Moved and
Second.
seconded. Open for discussion. Mr. Hubner, your motion, you may speak to it.
Right, and as we have Kelly Roberts here, who put this budget together, I will turn it over to her to go through it line by line and explain differences and similarities.
All right. Kelly Roberts, Town Clerk Tax Collector. I'm speaking tonight on behalf of myself and Eric Gross, our Town Moderator, who could not be here. Eric spent a lot of time this year on the 5 payroll budget lines, so I have his notes on that. He presented that at the board, but I'll present it tonight. So going over it, there are 5 payroll budget lines. The proposed increase for these lines, the proposed increase for these 5 lines above our long-standing 2,176 default budget is $1,034, a 48% increase. The 2 main drivers of the increase are a 100% increase in town meeting events, a proposed pay rate change for town meeting staff that includes ballot clerks, ballot counters, assistant moderators, and moderator. We have an 100% increase in events driven by 2 elections for a total of 3 and 1 deliberative session. We are proposing upgrading the pay rates of town meeting staff positions to more appropriate levels, and we'll explain why. The hourly rates to be increased are from $7.25 to $10 an hour for ballot clerks and end-of-night counters, and from $7.25 to $12 an hour for assistant moderators. To a very important point, there is a significant volunteer rate among our ballot clerks and counters and election staff. About 75% of them donate their time. And that has really become the norm growing since COVID 2020. This volunteer rate is allowing Eric to play with those numbers as far as updating the pay rates to more modern amounts. The moderator will pay rate will be a flat rate of $250 per event. It is currently $7.25 an hour, and only for hours on the day of the event, for a total of an average of $60 to $110 per event. There are many prep hours required for both town meetings and elections that the moderators and assistant moderators work to prepare for these. Some include attending trainings. They're coordinating with clerks, supervisors of the checklist, town officials, including the Board of Selectmen, for many logistical plannings from where the event will be to parking and everything in between. And also preparing the end of night count is, it's a pretty, he's got it to a pretty good system. But that takes a lot of work to build those, how you're gonna reconcile, how you're gonna count, all that stuff. They put a lot of time and effort into that. And so that is the pay raise. And then I was at the meeting speaking to the non-pay staff positions. So for the legal notices, I left at $1 to keep open. For Malloy Sound, I confirmed with Malloy Sound, it's $2,800 for 2026, and I confirmed them for both deliberative sessions, so we have them on board. And that's the sound recording and the video that we post afterwards. Maintenance and repairs is at $900. It's $450 per AccuVote machine. We will continue to use AccuVote machines until we transition fully to the new ones.
I'm going to interrupt you and ask a question on that, which is, notice that historically we have zeros in those lines. Is that because it's being accounted for in some other budget?
What line are you on?
Line, the maintenance repairs, 430.
Yeah, I don't know why so for the 25 budget was 400.
But we're showing historically nothing. Karen, do you know anything about it?
It might be in another line because it's 450 per machine. And they usually come out right before election.
Right, so if this is in another line, either we accept the zero there and know that it's in another line, or, well.
So we keep bumping into these. Last week, we had several of the same thing where we're told there's a spend and it shows a zero, and that's where we're at, which is.
What I will say for that line, to make this a little more, get some more understanding from you guys, is this maintenance line is important while we have AccuVote.
So we're not disputing the necessity of the line or the
Okay.
amount. What we're expressing concern about is that the improper accounting functions, because we're all quite confident that the spend is real. It just doesn't show up, and that's troublesome, that we're spending money on lots of lines but aren't accounting for them in those lines. So if you want to just continue,
Okay.
it's
All right. Okay, so I have a question on and I'll go into more detail. Actually, I'll do the tabulator last because that's going to be the biggest discussion, I think. For supplies, 600 for supplies. We will need the 600 next year because we got the 2 deliberatives and the 3 elections. But we did not spend anything in 25, so we must be using our old supplies. So
or it wasn't accounted for properly. It could be either one.
it could be either one.
Such a mystery.
Okay, this is another interesting one, ballots. And for black and white people, ballots is not black and white, believe it or not. So it's very hard to estimate the cost for that line because whether it's a town ballot, a state ballot, all the things that go into making the ballot, whether it's the paper size, how long the ballot is, how it's designed, how it's formatted, how many pages, every ballot is unique. And so that's why we need to bring that line up to around 6,000 to be more in line with what the expenses are going to be next year, especially with the fall elections. So, but if you guys are like, well, and you had one town election and it was only this amount, and the year before you had this, well, maybe it was a very different ballot,
Understood.
Okay, so meeting equipment, I brought that up to 500 because our moderators bring their own printer to the polls half the time. And that just makes me, it would be nice if they had a printer they could rely on, so they didn't have to bring their home printer into the town hall and their cords and everything. So that line would be for items like maybe a printer for the polls. Moderators could really use that, especially for end of night and for results. The meeting grant I put at $1 to keep that line open. So back to the tabulators, the AccuVote tabulators. I notice on here, there's a 0 and then BOS approved 0. Should that be 1? Should that be line item 440?
So I will defer to the select board representative to answer that. I have to admit, it's very rare that you see a column drop off into the abyss.
Yeah, I have a blank. Karen, do you have any light to shed on why we have a blank in that line? Tabulator.
How about this?
Wasn't proposed with anything in it.
How about this? I'm just gonna cut to the chase. I'm gonna make a motion that we increase line 440 AccuVote tabulator to be $1, and I would look for a second. Moved and seconded. I'll speak to the motion. It is unusual that not only is it not carried forward, but it's not listed as 0. So it would appear to me to be a clerical error. It's unlikely to be overspent, and after all, it is only $1. Is there further discussion on the motion?
I think the select board would be happy to see that happen.
Let me just make a little love note here real quick, so I know what we're voting on. Mr. Cresswell, please.
Could we just get some clarification on what that line is for?
Ms. Roberts, do you mind?
Yes, so it's for the ballot machines. When you go to the elections and you put your ballot in the black boxes, the current machines are being phased out, and there's 2 approved, the ballot machines that a town uses has to be approved by the Ballot Law Commission, and they've approved 2. And so now communities have to make a decision between the 2 options available. And I have some information, because I know you guys are curious. So our moderator, Eric Gross, is working with both Voting Works, and the other one is the Dominion Image Cast Machine. And he's going to hopefully have both of them here in November or December. They will be doing a display of their machines, and it will be open to the public, and it would be really awesome for people that are interested in the integrity of our election and our process and our voting machines to weigh in on and learn about these 2 machines. And then after that, and he's been doing a deep dive, and he will be doing a proposal after that to the Board of Selectmen to review, and the Board of Selectmen will make the ultimate decision. I did a deep dive.
So hold on,
Yeah.
so we have to stay to the motion that's on
Yep.
the floor, so I appreciate the info, but we need to stay on the motion on the floor. So the motion is to add $1 to line 440.
So just for clarification, that dollar is to hold the line open for us to purchase an additional machine when they become available?
Yes, the reason why I don't know if it was me that made it 0, or if it was, I don't know how that happened. But we're putting in a warrant article for the second machine, a board sanctioned warrant article. So I don't know if that had something to do with the 0.
So there's a difference between the tabulator and the voting machine, right? The voting machine, we're going to see a warrant article to buy one in the warrant. So hopefully the citizens, of course, will see the need for a voting.
All right, so the motion's on $1 for tabulator. Is there further discussion on that motion? Seeing none. All those in favor of adding the dollar, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So that's 10 to 0 to 0. That brings us to a new bottom line for town meeting / elections at $14,013. Is there further discussion on that budget? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of a bottom line for town meeting / elections at $14,013, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? 10 0 0, and so that takes care of that. Next on our agenda is planning zoning on 34.
Thank you, Kelly.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Rhodes.
So, Mr. Tate, you have a meeting upstairs right now?
Yes.
Right now. So any chance that we could take him first so he can do this and go to his meeting?
Which one are you, Mr.
Zoning.
Tate? Is there any objection to going to 37, taking up zoning first? All right, seeing none, let's flip to page 37 and take up zoning.
Chairman, I make a motion from the Board of Selectmen to approve the zoning Board of Appeals budget in the amount of $4,987.
So moved,
Second.
moved and seconded. Motion, you can speak to your motion, Mr. Hubner?
So I will defer this to our ZBA representative here tonight to go through each of the lines one by one.
So you don't have to. If you press for time and you want to just hit the high notes, you can certainly do that as well.
Yeah, I'd like to hit a couple things real quick. Mr.
Certainly.
Chair, members of the committee, thank you, Spencer Tate, chairperson for the Zoning Board of Adjustment. First things are actually, I guess, a little bit of housekeeping. One, Mr. Chair, is would we be able to steal the voice recorder for the meeting? We don't have the technical abilities upstairs. We don't have a
So
minute
unless the
taking.
town administrator was proactive and turned it on, it hasn't run all night. And if it has, I would say we can hit stop and the transcriptionist can
time-
use the YouTube video to get to make the minutes.
That would be very helpful, thank you.
Certainly.
We also typically meet in this room, so if there's any folks who wander down here or that are present that are going to the zoning
We're
board
going to
meeting,
steal them.
it's up, you can have them. But otherwise, if they'd like to attend, it's upstairs this evening.
Certainly.
So with that being said, I also came grossly unprepared this evening because I came from my work. Would I be able to steal or borrow a copy of one of the committee members? Thank you. I'm not sure about this, but I'm pretty sure we have the simplest or most straightforward budget. Yeah, oh, did they? Okay, thank you.
This is
Yeah, I won't mark this up at all. I'll just hold on to this. And I'd imagine if there's any questions, they'll be hopefully answerable. Our largest item change request is the $2,000 for the transcriptionist part-time employee. I simply tried to move over the 2025 actual usage to capture that. And I believe Karen said that the remainder would be, because she shared across several boards.
The allocation percentage to the different users of that transcription.
So the support staff, the part-time position that supports this board, the hours and the payroll expense was allocated in the assessing budget. And same with planning. So the funds that are in here is just to attend meetings and for the transcriptionist.
Thank you. But I sought some reductions for printing services, largely as it relates to application materials. All the application materials need to be provided by the applicant. And the zoning ordinance of the members that we have the current zoning ordinance. So I dropped that line item down to $1. not foreseeing the need for printing of any application materials, but simply to keep the line open. ZBA meetings, seminars, training, so that's not ZBA meetings as in the meetings here, as I understood it, that's for conferences, trainings for members. I don't foresee there needing to be a budget for that, so long as we maintain our membership in the New Hampshire Municipal Association and our relationship with the state. There's typically free seminars that are actually offered online at folks' convenience for training of the membership. So I don't foresee there being a need for that, but I would like that item to remain open if there is a influx of House bills or something that change over the next, as we progress here.
Chairman, I think you see that the largest increase is simply in the transcriptionist cost, which is a reality, and that the other costs, there's been some effort to reduce some of the other expenses in the ZBA budget.
That's correct.
Any discussion amongst the committee?
Is the big deduction in legal fees because of them going somewhere else? In 2024, you had 4,600 in legal services, now it's down to 500. I mean, you reduced it in 2025, so just wondering if it went somewhere else.
So the budget, oh, sorry, was it
think that
Nancy
was-
for Karen or?
So it's always been budgeted at 500. They had an over expenditure in '24, and they look to be on track. So the budgeted amount hasn't changed. They just happen to have a particularly busy legal year. '24 is how I read it.
That's correct.
They had an appeal that year.
I'm sorry?
I think they had a zoning appeal that year, and that's what prompted the additional legal fees.
Further discussion on ZBA? Mr. Rhodes?
Mr. Tate, you see a quiet year ahead?
Don't ask me to predict the future. I wouldn't be sitting here.
Mr. Rhodes, there's certain words that we don't say.
That is a fantastic answer.
There's
Thank
3
you.
applications this
Any
month.
further discussion on ZBA?
Mr. Tate, there's been some
Ms. Marciani.
discussion, I'm sorry. Jump the gun, of going to an AI type transcriptionist. Is that something you might consider for your committee as well?
I suppose you're asking me as a chair and not as an individual. I would have some initial reluctance, largely because there is a certain amount of jargon, abbreviations, and things that are used that I'm not sure would be captured appropriately through AI. If that could be demonstrated that it would be, that would be, I suppose, acceptable. However, I will say, being part of appeals as a chair in this town, and then also sitting beside applicants for clients, those legal records that are created via the minutes and whatever, any other evidence that's provided, also the materials within the application, that's largely what is arbitrated at those hearings. So that's kind of the reason for my reluctance, is not adequately capturing a potentially seemingly minute point, but it would be the basis of somebody else's argument. If that could be demonstrated that can be done, I suppose I'm open to the idea.
Understood. Mr. Rhodes?
So you would, in fact, it sounds like you would favor a verbatim as a method.
Yeah, as a quasi judicial board, that's kind of what we have to use, yeah.
Further discussion on ZBA budget? Seeing none, I'm going to call the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? 10-0 to 0. Thank you for coming in. We appreciate the
Thank you.
time. So now we'll go to planning zoning on page 34.
Mr. Chair, it's just planning, it's not zoning.
Yeah, I probably transcribed that off old notes. Planning board, budget, and I would look for a motion perhaps.
Just before the motion, I just questioned, do we have a representative that's going to present for the planning board?
The invitation was sent out and I received no notification that no one, that there was gonna be a failure to show.
Did we have somebody scheduled for this?
Pete said he wasn't able to make it. He's the chair of the planning board, so I think he was going to try to come next week. But if you would like me to present, then that is fine.
So what's the will of the committee? Do you want to, we could either take it up or we could table it?
I was going to suggest with the breadth of all the ones we have to do and the fact that Pete may be here next week, that it might make sense for us to table this and move on.
So what's the will of the committee? All it takes is a motion and an affirmative vote.
I would move that, I don't know if I can actually, since I'm on the planning board.
I'll move that we table the motion for next week.
Second.
So there's
Table the planning board.
So there's a motion on the floor to table planning board budget. There's a second, non-debatable. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
Let's go to cemeteries.
So hold on. So that's a 901, is that correct? Mr. Rhodes, you're the only one. So that will bring us to cemeteries on page 50, and I would look for a motion.
All right, Mr. Chairman, the motion is to move the bottom line for the cemeteries at 22,000. Somebody help me out. I can't read that.
587.
987.
587.
22,587. Perhaps in the budget.
I have a motion.
Spectacles for the.
I have a motion.
Second.
I've moved and seconded. The motion is yours, Mr. Hubner, so you can speak to your motion.
Before you move on, can you go back to zoning for 1 second? So the salary line was amended at the select board at last week's meeting, and so the bottom line that should be voted on here is $3,711.
All right. Can we?
You want to do
can
that in
remind
old
us when
business?
We're done with this. We'll
Okay.
just take it up as soon as we're done with this.
All right, we have two members of our cemetery trustees here with us tonight, and I'd ask them to walk us through the highlights of your cemetery budget.
Hi, Jenny Wellington, secretary, and,
Bill Bilito, member.
all right, I love how this is not intimidating at all. All right, so you just want me to go line by line?
So it is your budget to present however you see fit. Take a deep breath. We're pretty chill, actually. I do run a bit of a formal meeting, but we're pretty chill.
I'd rather be teaching teenagers.
Me too, to be honest with you.
All right, so our superintendent, we pay Mark Young what is, I think, commensurate with what other towns do in the state. We have no tree care this year, but we are leaving that line open because we anticipate that there will be a need in the future. We contract out to mow some of the town-owned cemeteries, not all of them. That is a very conservative amount. We do subscribe to several organizations in the state. They also have meetings, seminars, and trainings. So that is maybe the most significant increase, because in the past, we realized we were not, that was not in our budget, but at least twice a year, there is the New Hampshire Cemetery Association meeting, and we send one or two of our members to it. It helps us continue to learn about the RSAs and how to care for our cemeteries. And we are anticipating a grant. We have applied for one, so we're going to leave that line open as well.
Ms. Quinn?
Hi, thanks. I'm just curious, because the contractor line has been overspent in the last 2 years, why you're not asking for a little bit more to meet those costs?
This is where I wish our treasurer was here, but he was not able to be here tonight. Part of the overspending, I think, that you see is we anticipate moving some trust funds to cover that. We had some repair work in some of our cemeteries, so at the end of the year, we were told to move trust funds over then, not like throughout the year. So I don't think that'll be an overspent line once we sort of cover that. We are also confused about some of our contractors. Morrison Cemetery, which is done by Averill, and there is no contract for that, and we never see a bill for that. So that is something we will be looking at next year, because we are very interested in getting an accurate number for what it costs to take care of all of our town-owned cemeteries. Right now, like I said, I think this only covers maybe 11 of them. Only 5 of them, with the exclusion of Morrison, because we have no idea how much that costs and what that contract even looks like. So we're going to be exploring that next year.
Are all the contracts that come under this line, they're all for mowing, or are there other things?
They're all for mowing. The overspending is the person we contracted with this year to fix some stones in some of the cemeteries. That comes from the trust funds.
Okay.
But the actual budget that we had planned is just for mowing.
Thank you.
Mr. Rhodes?
Yeah, I just have to say, having attended a couple of these meetings, the frugality and energy, the combination of frugality and energy in this committee is impressive. There was a concerted effort to actually not spend on the mowing and take it from the trust fund. So I think they're taking their Article 38 of the Amendment 38 to the New Hampshire Constitution very seriously.
Ms. Bobian?
I appreciate all your hard work also, and I'm wondering, I'm sure Bob Averill could give you an estimated cost. And I think things like that, if there are other volunteers, if the community knows those numbers, they could be very appreciative and see how volunteers are taking up a lot of the contract cost.
That is true. We do have a significant number of volunteers that take care of them, and we're very grateful for that.
Excellent point, Ms. Bobian. Further discussion on the cemetery budget?
Sure.
Mr.
One quick question, and maybe you already mentioned this, and I apologize if I wasn't paying attention. How many cemeteries are we maintaining right now?
The town of Deerfield has over 100 cemeteries. 26 of them belong to the town by deed, by offer. I'm not sure how that happens. And we presently take care of 6 of the 26.
Further discussion on the cemetery budget? Looks like it's going to be a light year for cemeteries. All right. The motion on the floor is for a bottom line budget of $22,587. Seeing no more discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? 10 to 0 to 0. Thank you for coming in, and thank you for being patient. We value your time and we appreciate it. Did you have something to add, Mr. Bilodeau?
Yeah.
I just have, not with cemeteries. I have a consideration request, a begging of the chair
What do
to
you got?
let the forestry go before the heritage, because they're not here.
So cemeteries we just disposed of. I do hear an outcry to do, you said forestry?
Yes.
So based on that, I would say everybody should flip to 141, and I would look for a motion.
So on page 141 is the Cemetery Commission budget.
No, Forestry Commission.
Excuse me, the Forestry Commission budget. In the amount of $6.
So I'm gonna spare you the breath. Is there any discussion on this budget? Seeing none. All those in favor of the forestry budget in the amount of 6, yes, that is $6. Please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain, 10 to 0 to 0. Always a pleasure to
Thank you,
indulge,
Mr.
Bilodeau.
Chairman. Thank you. Thank the board.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, so we're going to change, Mr. Rhodes is going to abstain, so the vote is a 9-0-1. It still passes. I'm led to believe that we made a mistake on zoning, page 37, if I understand the town administrator correct, so let's go back to 37, so we can be schooled on that. Did I have that right? Is it 37 you flagged?
Yes,
And-
yes.
Apparently, there's a $2 discrepancy.
Yesterday at the select board meeting, we reduced the part-time employee line to $2,000.
Okay,
So it adjusts the bottom line down to 3,711.
So, okay, so this is how this is gonna work, boys and girls. When a board delivers a budget, that is the budget that we have. If they make changes subsequent to delivery, it really is in air quotes, a moot point. Historically, what we have looked for is motions to consider the actions of the select board. I'm seeing that zoning passed unanimously, and so, but it's closed. So procedurally, if we want to consider the actions taken by the select board, I would look for a motion, and since we're all in favor, anybody can make the motion, a motion to reconsider ZBA.
Motion to reconsider.
It's moved,
Second.
moved and seconded. Reconsider ZBA. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? 10, you abstaining or not abstaining? No, so 10, so now we are under reconsideration. I have a sneaking suspicion that perhaps the select board member has a motion relative to ZBA.
He does, but he doesn't remember the number.
3711,
3711.
yes.
All right, so I make a motion to amend the line 111 to 3711.
To
No, no, no.
2,000, to 2,000.
That was the total.
Oh, that was a total, like 37
So,
2,000.
so, okay, so that's not a proper motion. So your motion is to reduce line 111, I believe, by $1,276. Is that your motion?
Yes.
Leaving 2,000 in the line. So the motion is to reduce that line by $1,276, which brings us to 2,000. That's a motion?
Second.
Moved and seconded, open for discussion. Mr. Huebner, it's your motion. You may discuss your motion.
Well, this was reconsidered after additional information was supplied to us about what was really needed in this line.
All right, so my challenge is that we no longer have the chair of the ZBA present. And
No, we talked about it before.
who's we?
I did with the chair.
So while I can accept your commentary, in my opinion, no offense, but in my opinion, it's hearsay because I haven't talked to him. So I don't know. What do you, it's the will of the committee. There's a motion on the floor. If we want to discuss it further, we can call for a vote. If we want to table, Mr. Rhodes.
He did admit that he came grossly unprepared.
Yeah, I know, but I hate to fault
And he has agreed hearsay that he has no issue with.
He is upstairs. We can get him.
he's in a meeting. I'd rather not pester him.
We can either vote on the hearsay and
So-
accept that or not.
So, Ms. Quinn, did you have?
Well, I would like to hear from him because it's below the spend for the last 2 years.
So we bumped into a little trouble last time, right? There was a little confusion, so I'm going to proactively advise you, if that's what you would like to do, motion to table at this time would be in order, and we could take it up at our next meeting, if you want to make that motion.
Unless the town administrator has more information that would speak to that.
I think she's basically said she's talked to him and he agrees with the.
But the spend has been higher than that for the last 2 years.
Right,
So-
because the part-time employee was budgeted in this budget as well. And her staff hours have been moved and reallocated to the assessing budget. So the only budget in here is for the
It's a
transcriptionist.
reallocation.
Reallocation of, between two committees.
And he did mention, or we did discuss that.
Yeah, okay.
So, Mr. Rhodes, do you, further discussion?
No, this is not a ZBA chair issue. This is an administrative issue, I think, really, with the clerk back there,
So
right?
that's a yes, you do have discussion.
I did.
Yes.
I didn't.
You said no, but then you did, so I'm going to say that
Oh,
was
well,
a
I
yes.
correct myself then. Thank you for the assistance.
Certainly.
You can get him glasses and a hearing aid and me a hearing aid.
So this then represents only a portion of what the previous spend was, right?
So all I will say is I will look to the will of the committee. If nobody makes a motion to table this and there's no further discussion, I will call the vote. I just don't want anybody to be sad afterwards and say, oh, you know.
Yeah, we can always
Yeah, we
reconsider.
could.
Well, you hope you can. All right, so the motion is to reduce the line 111 by $1,276. Is there further discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 10-0-0. That moves us to a new ZBA bottom line of,
Need a calculator.
3,700.
3711?
does that sound right?
Yes.
All right, now I have infinite faith in it because it's not hearsay. She's got numbers in front of her. So the new ZBA bottom line of 3,711. Is there further discussion on the ZBA budget? Seeing none, all those in favor of 3711, bottom line ZBA, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? You always go late. 9-0-1. Because I like to. Let's see, that brings us to Heritage Commission at 135.
That's okay, don't worry about it, you're fine, no worries.
And I would, come back. Yeah, I want that paper. All right.
What's that?
We are on page 135. We are on Heritage Commission, and I'm hoping that there's going to be a motion forthcoming.
So we have a motion, Mr. Chairman, to move the Heritage Commission budget in the amount of $600.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Mr. Huebner, you may speak to your motion.
All right, we have a member of the Heritage Commission here to speak to the budget.
Mr. Rhodes.
Yes. What page are we on?
135 is where I'm
135.
at.
I have to get there. I believe it's $600.
Correct.
Yeah.
Should I ask if there's any discussion and maybe we forgo?
Well, I'm hoping that it will get passed. We've got so much, we could spend this about 1,000 times without any difficulty.
So I'm told. Any discussion on Heritage Commission budget at $600?
Well, what,
Ms. Marchioni.
I'm sorry, what's the budget for? What do you do with your money?
Well,
There's no detail for like
there is no detail.
postage, printing, I don't know what it's for.
So we've done a number of things. Right now, we've for instance, this year, this 600 is the same budget for next year as we've had this year. This year, I think of the 600 we spent either on implementing some safety changes at the town hall, push bars, exit lights, things that the fire department tells us we need to put in. If we didn't spend it on that first, we will have spent it on the facilitated event we had on October 16th, which addresses the question of the future of the town hall and how people want to see that used in the future. Big picture is the Heritage Commission is leading the rehabilitation / restoration of, it's not restoration, it's rehabilitation of the town hall. And we'll be doing fundraising, all kinds of events that will require funding. This is not even the tip of the iceberg of what the Heritage Commission will want to I guess, manage as a funds flow for the next year or two.
Just a-
Mr. Human.
Housekeeping, you know, it doesn't look like we have any spend in 2025 year to date, but I think
There are minutes that call for the spend of it.
Yeah, we have a lot of that. Actually, if we were to flip back to the previous budget, you'd see lines that weren't populated with anything. They were just into the abyss. There was no zeros, no dollars, no nothing.
Well, we were particularly.
No, not in this budget, previous budget.
But last year, we actually sent the money back because we didn't properly encumber the funds for expenses we had last year. So this year, we're very sensitive about spending $600 on things we're actually doing and getting it spent. So, as I said, the facilitator this year, for the event that we just had, will be paid. She'll take up our entire budget.
Further discussion on Heritage? Seeing none. Bottom line, $600. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? 900. Heritage is passed. Conservation,
I abstained on that.
so you were there representing, so I was assuming you were not on the committee, so I logged it as a 900. Conservation Commission at page 138. Look for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, we make a motion to move the bottom line of the Conservation Commission at $3,571.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Mr. Yuvna, you can speak to your motion.
So we have our member of our Conservation Commission to speak to.
Yeah, so the bulk of these funds will be going to give the part-time secretary an actual close to market wage for all the preparation she does and all the minute taking and so forth.
Can you quantify what a close to competitive wage?
I think it's, there should be some backup on this. Is there no backup?
No.
I believe it was, I think right now she's at $13 and change, and we want to take her to $17 and change, which is, I think, still below what other people are getting for the.
Karen, do you have backup in your record?
Not the hourly wage, no.
Any discussion on Conservation Commission? Seeing none.
Sorry.
Ms.
I'm
Marshani,
late.
please. No, it's
Excuse
all
me.
good. No, not too late.
Line 684, the Trails Club, $400. Can you just advise what that's used for?
So, when this started, there was actually a Trails Club. And so this is, I think, goes back to, the 200 goes back to then. As you may be aware, we've undertaken a trails inventory. The folks from Vermont that are going to come and do that for us are going to be at our next meeting. So that's, and that's a contract that we'll pay for, probably out of the Conservation Fund. But there's the Age-Friendly Deerfield Trails Group has been active, and they've been doing things like, well, they did the gazebo field. We're trying to work with them. They're trying to implement the conservation sort of vision for us and doing a great job. This would probably be work at Doused Kate and maybe one or two trails where they're planning on putting in pole benches. I don't know exactly what a Leopold bench is, but assembled bench with a cost of, I think, something like $150, $125 or $150 each. Doused Kate is the beginning trail that they're working on. I'm sure they're going to be working on other trails during the course of the year. So we thought it made sense to encourage them in their work for trails.
So is that 400 for benches? Do they have other expenses, I mean, you're not paying people to do that, right? Because those are all volunteers, so.
No, so this, they gotta buy cedar. So, you know, it's for the bench material itself. Dow's Gate, we also put in if you go down Nottingham Road, you'll see that the entrance to Dow's Gate is much improved because we funded some ledge pack to go into. As you came off the road, there was a big dip, and there's no longer a dip there. So we funded the material that went in there.
Further discussion on Conservation Commission?
Just one quick question.
Please, Ms. Quinn.
Earl, the legal services line has generally been more than 300. You must be anticipating a quiet year, but is that something that?
Did somebody earlier say something about predicting the future?
They did, and they were
And
very
they were-
sage, it was a very sage answer to the question.
So,
We have legal issues that come up from time to time, and this past year, we made use of town council to review the student conservation contract that we had. And they did a lot of work on a couple of trails. But we have to go to town council to get that kind of thing taken care of. And so I know we're gonna have a contract with the trails inventory people who are coming in next month. So I'm sure that money will be utilized for that.
I'm just concerned that it's an insufficient amount, given that in 2024, we spent 816, and so far this year, 363, and yet you didn't request an increase in that budget line.
We have confidence in our ability to negotiate with our lawyers.
It doesn't look like you've been able to.
Well,
You still overspent.
I tend to agree that the data doesn't back up the assertion. but-
well, I didn't say I'd be successful, I just said we were confident.
No, I'm just wondering if we should give you a little more resources there.
We'll take what we can get, but we're trying to follow the lead of the Cemetery Commission and be frugal and not be asking for more than what we're pretty certain that we'll be able to get by with what we've got.
Okay.
Further discussion on Heritage Commission budget?
No, conservation.
Conservation.
I'm sorry, my bad. Conservation Commission. Seeing none, bottom line at 3,571. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 900. Budget passes. That completes our regular order of business. We will now go to old business, and we will begin at IT on page 21, which had been tabled, and we historically have never required a vote to take something off the table because it has to be dealt with regardless. And so it's been moved and seconded, and it was tabled because of a lack of information. And so I would open it for discussion. If either the select board representative, town administrator, or a member of the committee wants to take it up.
So line 430 was reduced and adjusted to 5,870. That was to reallocate the MuniSmart modules to the town administration budget.
I'm sorry, one more time?
Line 430,
Yeah.
it was reduced to 5,870.
When you say that, can you give me, when was that done?
That was done at the select board before the presentation here.
So before the budget came to us?
Yes.
So that's something that wasn't accounted for?
Well, it was, but in the budget worksheet that you guys looked at last week, it was, I had made a clerical mistake and I took it from the line above, so you wanted a clean copy. So this is the clean copy here.
Okay, so hold on, so we're looking at
It was one of the
page 8
handouts
here.
that I put in
Okay,
front of you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Page 21,
Okay,
in the maintenance
line 430.
Here's the
Okay.
corrected one.
And the other change that was made was the printing service, line 551. That was reduced to 0 and reallocated to town administration. So it brings the new bottom line to 103,616.
Okay, so hold on, we will need we'll need a motion at some point to move that new bottom line, but we'll just keep the discussion going for now. Ms. Marchioni?
Yes, thank you. On line 399, that's gone up from the previous budget that you gave us, from 5043 to 7031.
Yes.
Okay, you didn't, I'm sorry, did I miss that? Did you mention that?
That was because the board had reduced it by, we had reduced that line item by the 1165 and 823, and I made a mistake and I took it out of that line. So I put it back, and so the request is the same as what the board approved, and then the adjustment was taken from the line below.
Gotcha, thank you.
Yeah, and the bottom line has not changed, so we will not need a motion. Is there further discuss?
I'm just confused. Help me understand why the bottom line has not changed, since we've made these reductions in the revised budget, but it reflects the same number as we had last week.
It wasn't a revision, it was just a typo between two of the lines.
Okay, so it just adds up to the same thing.
Yes.
Further discussion on the IT budget? Right, seeing none, call a vote on the IT department bottom line at $103,616. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? 10-0-0. That takes care of IT. Next is Town Hall on page 47. Again, we don't need a motion. Yeah, I'm sorry. So we tabled this because there was some discussion around restoration, line item 432, and so the town hall budget is open for discussion or amendment.
There was another question also about the sprinkler maintenance. And that was they did an adjusting entry to remove the cost out of the 430 line, the regular town hall maintenance, and reallocate it into the 431 line for sprinkler system maintenance. So there's a separate worksheet that I handed out to show you the budget versus actual, because I can't adjust it on the budget worksheet.
So the 2,000 was formerly in the 10,000? Is that what you're saying?
The 2859, the year-to-date expenditure, 2859, it was included previously in the line above.
Right.
Oh, I see. Okay. So again, that's not changing the bottom line, it's just moving between lines.
Well, the board just wanted to see what the actual spend was.
Yeah.
Okay, so is there further discussion on the town hall budget?
So the restoration line, Mr. Chairman, has a blank in mine,
Yeah,
but in the revised.
Ours too.
That's
So
how it was
there's
presented.
there's nothing for us to do unless somebody wants to make a motion. If there's no motion, I'm gonna call the vote on the budget.
So on that issue, we talked about donations and the prospective repairs and such. To the extent that that is funded by donations from other parties or grants, none of that hits the budget. So it's not something we have any say over. The distinction between restoration and rehabilitation, piffle. So it's no need for a dollar restoration line. We're all set, as I said.
So do we,
Okay.
does that mean you want to move that to 0 then?
No, it is zero.
It is
It
zero.
is in the new printout.
Oh, sorry, I had a dollar. Okay.
But can we spend the donations that are made for that purpose if we don't have a line?
Absolutely, because they don't hit the budget.
It wouldn't go into the operating budget.
standalone monies.
Don't we have to, if it's a donation to the town, we have to collect it as a revenue and then spend it on?
It does, but it goes into, I had a long conversation with Mr. Lemay today about this. It goes into an escrow account, and this body doesn't have any say over how come monies come out of the escrow account. The select board may, but not this body.
Okay, so is there further discussion on the town hall budget?
I mean, the select board, I think, is all in favor of the effort that's being made to raise funds to repair or restore the town hall. It's just, I want to make sure that we don't make a boo-boo here. Okay.
No
So
issue.
we are following the infinite wisdom of the select board here, so I can't imagine how we would make a boo-boo.
Well said.
I reserve the right to change my story as time allows. Is there any further discussion on town hall? If not, then I am going to make a note. Move the town hall bottom line in the amount of $36,842. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? 10 to 0 to 0, closes that out. Last but not least, for old business is town administration on page 5.
All right.
And
There was questions about the 813 line, the other charges and expenses.
indeed,
And I pulled the general ledger detail from the last couple of years, and the charges that are being allocated to that line include the annual subscription for the Dropbox, the Zoom renewal, all of the background check costs for hiring new employees is included in there.
But not fire. Fire's in their own budget,
The fire does their own, but this is for municipal employees,
so police and
and they charge for it, yeah.
highway people.
What was the first thing you said, Carol?
Dropbox. So we utilize Dropbox for audio files for the transcriptionist, except for today because she'll watch half of the meeting on here. And then the Zoom account is paid for out of that line. So it was reduced to 0 at the last meeting. And I would like to request the board reconsider back to the $5,000 that it was originally asked for.
Mr. Cresswell.
And what is the total spend on the items that you have allocated?
In 2024, it was $6,767. And in 25 year-to-date, it's $2,139 so far.
The same as what it was on the sheet, so that
Yep.
any additions or changes?
Right.
Mr. Rhodes.
Do you anticipate there being any additional costs to what has been spent so far?
There would be, because I will still need to do some background checks for the land use position when that is filled. And it seems like we are perpetually hiring for the transfer station, if anyone is interested.
So,
For-
I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead. No, go ahead.
So it would make sense to then bring it back up some level that would cover all your costs for this year. But would it be possible to find other, is this the only home that those funds have, those costs have, or could those
This-
costs go into other homes on your budget that were, because it's a bit of a mishmash drop, I mean, Zoom and Dropbox, okay, IT, maybe background checks, personnel. I mean, just allocating it so that, not to say that the costs are bad, it's just,
Finding a better home for it.
yeah, finding a better home for it. Is that?
Well,
Piffle?
there is miscellaneous.
Yeah.
Hold on, so that's, oops, sorry.
It's getting away from me.
Yeah, it did. So that, technically, that's commentary. You don't actually have to answer that question here and now if you don't want to. You certainly can respond, but you're not really under an obligation for that.
I mean, I agree that it should be allocated, it could be allocated better. I think these are actual and legitimate costs that need to find a home here. So I would request the dollars, and then I would like to find them a better home.
So,
than just a miscellaneous line,
so there is.
because those groupings don't really go
Yeah,
together.
okay, but there's no dollars without a line. So our option is either to table this again and have recommendations of what those dollar amounts should be and where, so that we could consider that. We could refund the line back to the request or some other number tonight and close it out. We should continue the discussion, so I'll yield to Mr. Cresswell.
Given the information that town manager has presented, I would like to make a motion to reinstate that line for an amount of $3,000.
So there's a motion to add $3,000 to line item 813. There's a motion. And there is no second, so that motion does not move forward. Mr. Rhodes, did you?
Well, in a similar vein, I would move to reinstate it to a number that covers the costs. I don't know if we can stipulate that by next year, these things find a different home, but I think that's the will of the.
Well, wait a minute, so to be clear, the expenses this year are budgeted for in the 2025 budget. So this year's expenses are covered. The expenses, if we do nothing, if we just move the bottom line as where we left it, then it would be next year's expenses that wouldn't be covered in this line. So if the idea is to put money in, then we could leave this at zero. The select board member or somebody else could make motions to reconsider budgets if they've already been moved. If they haven't, then we can add it in piecemeal.
So I guess my sense is that, just judging by what I've seen around the table, people don't think it's a bad idea to pay for these things, but pay for them properly. That's sort of, so I don't know, I think it's up to the select board to figure out what they want to do about doing that, but I would hate to see the monies taken out because they're real expenses.
So
They are real expenses.
So the money is currently
Right,
out,
sure, yeah.
and there, right now, there's no motion. There's a motion that didn't get a second, so that's not gonna be reconsidered tonight. So the guidance I would give the committee, our best course of action is to move town administration at the new bottom line. And then if the select board member wants to come with motions to find appropriate amounts and homes for that, we can consider those as they're brought forward. I mean, that's how we've always operated in that sort of friendly manner. Miss Bobian, please.
Is there a chance that the money will not be taken care of properly? And then there might be a problem next year.
So to answer the question, I suppose that characterization is not inaccurate or inappropriate. The motion that didn't get a second was for $3,000. This is a bit like, I forget if it's Price is Right or Let's Make a Deal. Any number besides $3,000 would be an appropriate motion that could be considered.
Okay, I'll make a motion to,
Ms. Boubian.
to add 2,500 to that line that became zero.
So there's a motion to add $2,500 to line 813. It's moved and seconded. Ms. Bobian, you may speak to your motion.
I just think we should cover, the cost that it was this year. It's been spent, the 21, so I think.
I don't disagree.
This is for next year, this is for 2026.
Correct. Mr.
Even
Gill?
though I think they might find different places to put that, there's no guarantee that'll happen.
Yeah, fair enough. Mr. Dillon.
Just a point of order, the vote to reduce this line was not unanimous. So don't we have a rule that only people who are on the winning side can reconsider?
Are we in reconsideration or was it tabled?
To bring it back up, to change it again.
Yeah, and I wasn't here,
Yeah, it was 6-4.
so forget what I said.
Yeah, so my apologies.
My apologies, too.
And
I
I
missed
appreciate
it.
the due diligence of keeping us parliamentarily on track. That is correct. The motion was made and passed. It would have to be somebody that voted on the prevailing side to make a motion to reconsider to change that line at this time. Based on that and the hour, my recommendation to the committee, but it's the will of the committee that'll decide our future, is that we move the bottom line of town administration now, and we recommend strongly to the select board representative, they go do their homework, figure out what the appropriate quantities are, where they should be, and then take them up piecemeal. That's what I would recommend.
That may require, though, reopening several other budgets where we move the items.
But virtually every budget has been moved by a unanimous vote at the end, and so the motion to reconsider and second is pretty wide open, and the committee, so past practice isn't a guarantee of future success, but the committee has always been, in my opinion, very lenient about reconsidering budgets when new information is brought forth, especially given the conversation tonight. So
The alternative would be to move in this line this year, and then next year to have the aspiration to the select board to.
yeah, so you'd have to find somebody that voted in the affirmative to run that line to zero to make the motion to reconsider. And I'm not sensing that occurring tonight.
Okay, can you clarify that, Kevin?
So Mr. Dillon is correct. It was a split vote to run that line to zero, and that motion passed. And so to reconsider that line item would take a motion to reconsider by somebody that voted on the prevailing side. I mean, honestly, if we want it properly accounted for, we should close this budget out where we are and simply allow the select board member to come back with the numbers for the various amounts and put them where they belong. To me, that's the quickest and the cleanest. I'd be surprised if those motions didn't pass. That's, I can't guarantee that, but that's.
That can be done.
The sense I'm getting from the committee is we want these things funded. We just don't want them in slush fund 813.
But Karen, I think by our next meeting, we can have that reallocated across.
And it doesn't even have to be till we're done with the town budget, right? It doesn't have to be the next meeting. Next meeting would be great, but it doesn't have to be. Is there further discussion on town administration budget? So I'm going to move town administration budget in the new bottom line of $341,521.
I think that's already been moved and approved, hasn't it?
No, we tabled it because of the questions surrounding other items. And so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain. So is that a yes to abstain? Killing these balls. 9-0-1. That's the best I can do for a
But
move.
we'll need a motion next,
Killing me.
when we're prepared, we'll need a motion to reconsider and put the proper amount in here, because we all want to see this line funded. Or many of us want to see this line funded.
No, this line is not going to get funded. You're going to come back with specific line items where that money appropriately belongs. If you bring those motions, you have a high degree of success. If you want to open this thing back up, you're going to be,
I said that poorly.
yes, scouting for
Move them
disappointment.
into other lines and then approve them.
So that
Missing from the
that
budget.
concludes our old business. That moves us on to new business. Is there any new business somebody would like to bring up? Mr. Rhodes?
Yeah, so along those same lines, you've noted, and others have noted, that there are a number of zeros throughout this budget that should not have been zeros, maybe.
And blanks that should certainly not be blanks.
Something like that. So I guess what I'm trying to figure out is that an exercise that we can ask take place as well, so we get proper numbers in those lines?
So
And
we.
I don't know how that would, you would see that happen.
So we can make the request. Finance department, town administration does not work for or report to us. They report to the select board. It is a little surprising that none of that was picked up previously. whether or not somebody wants to clean that up or not, I have to admit, I'm rather agnostic on it, simply because so far, I'm not really a big fan of this budget, and probably am not going to vote for it or recommend its passage to the voters. But, you know, if there,
You'd like it clean, cleaner than it is now, no?
I'd like to speak to that, if I may.
please.
I think our finance administrator receives all of the bills. Many of the boards and committees that need to approve the bills or allocate expense lines do not hold regular office hours. So in an effort to avoid paying late fees or penalties, I think they process those invoices and get them paid.
So
They're not necessarily.
I don't mean to cut you off, but by way of example, if we flip to page 8, and I just flipped to a random page and
Yep.
came straight to it. If I flip to page 8 and I look at line 690, which is 80% the way down, I see 0, 0, and then there's blanks. The zeros should be carried forward. That's a bit of a bad example because it's a zero line. But we've hit lots and lots of examples where we have the void of no number where a number should exist. If I go to page 26 and I look at line 625, 3/4 of the way down, the proposed is it's not 0, it's not 1, it's just a void. And that,
Is not a void a 0?
so if that's true, then why do I have zeros in the line right below it?
So a void is a 0. If you don't explicitly populate with a 0, then it prints that. So
Chairman's
that's,
first example in the town clerk's budget on page 8 would be, we've approved that budget, and there's blanks there, so that's 0 spent.
So I will accept that explanation. I would say you have your answer. If,
I mean, we can put a 0 in the line. to
no,
make it
I would say the question was asked and an answer's been given. So unless there's further discussion on it, I'll yield. It's
I think
not-
we're talking about two separate things, but.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, yeah, and there were other examples last week where there were zeros, not blanks, where the claim was, and I think you've taken care of a couple of those, but.
Oh, where they were
In the
spent.
town hall, yeah. where
Yeah,
they
we
were
have,
spent.
because the finance administrator makes the best guess to allocate them where they make sense, and it's not necessarily where the department had budgeted for them. But I'm going to instruct him to stop doing that. And the department heads can take responsibility for their own budgets and their own spends, because I don't really appreciate the commentary at this table in reference to that person.
So it's not about the person, it's about the position in the contract.
Right.
Just so we know, right? It's not the business, the finance director or whatever the title is, does a wonderful job. The thing that warms my heart is the action that you plan to take moving forward to correct it, because I think that's the right course of action. Because right now, somebody's getting blamed for
And it's not his
things
fault.
that are beyond, right, they're beyond their control. So I think your corrective action is spot on.
Thank you.
Is there any other new business? Ms. Marchioni?
I have just one comment on that. And Karen, do they go back and do adjusting journal entries after discussions with department heads at all, or?
He has, yes.
Okay, so that process would clean up some of it too, right? I don't know if that's on a monthly, quarterly.
Well, and that's
or
what
if it's-
happened here with like the sprinkler and the GBW and all of that stuff. But a lot of the disconnect is department heads not properly allocating their expenses and somebody else taking the liberties to do it in an effort of efficiency.
Yeah, okay, thank you for that.
New business?
Yes, revenues and expenditures on the town side, are we, I know we're in budget season, but do we stop looking at that during budget season?
So it's been rather unprecedented that we look at that through the course of the year. So I don't know. I would look.
Certainly through the course of the month. I mean, once a month was our kind of frequency.
And so what, and refresh my memory, what time of the month were we doing that? We were doing it at the end of the month, so we should have received one recently, right? Because it's,
But we just had one issued.
Right here.
Just,
I emailed them out after the last meeting.
you just got the last.
So it'll be next week that we will get one.
I emailed them to Leah because she chaired that meeting.
Right, there was one where we didn't have them, and then she sent them to me after, and I forwarded everything to everybody, so that should still be for October, or was it maybe the end of
That would have been
9:30?
I think it would have been October.
End of, so, you know, as we get to 10:30, we'll have our next revenue report after that.
Does that satisfy the number?
Yeah, I
Did you
just.
get it?
Well, I go in and print it from the bookkeeper's thing on the select board
there-
site, so.
Is there any other new business? Public comments, anybody want to jump up and leave the committee and give us an earful? I do, but I'm not gonna.
Motion to adjourn?
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, have a good evening, we'll see you.